Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into an exciting project, creating and animating a complete scene using only 2D images. I'll walk you through the entire process step by step, so stay tuned and let's get started. First, let's start by creating a new project. Set the resolution according to your preference. For this tutorial, I'm going with 1920 by 1080, but feel free to adjust it based on your needs. I've imported 2 images for this project. I created these images using AI, specifically with a tool called Media Place. You can also generate and use images like this from your preferred tool. Feel free to experiment and find what works best for you. I've generated 2 images, one for the door and another for the background. These will form the key elements of our scene. First, place the background image onto the layers by simply selecting it and dragging it in. Next, do the same for the door image, placing it on top of the background layer. Initially, I forgot to match the scale of the images with the viewport in the video, but I later corrected it. So make sure to check your scaling for a proper fit. Now, let's adjust the duration of the layers on the timeline. Since our animation will be about 12 seconds long, I recommend increasing the length of the layers from 30 seconds to 1 minute. This will give us more flexibility while working on the animation. To animate the door, we first need to separate it and apply a mask. Select the pen tool and draw a shape, just like you see in the video. When you select the pen tool, you'll notice a helpful guide about the selected tool appearing on the right side of the screen. This provides useful information and tips to assist you while working. Let's go ahead and draw the shape. I'm going to fast forward the shape drawing process here to save some time, as we need to keep the video length in mind. Don't worry, I'll make sure you catch the key points. The shape is now created. As shown in the video, set the border of the shape to 0 and remove the transparency from the fill to make it solid. This shape will now act as a mask for our door and wall. Apply the edge blur effect to this mask from the Effects and Components panel. Adjust the feather strength to your preference for a smooth and natural transition. Make sure to match the length of the mask to the main timeline for proper synchronization. Rename the mask properly to avoid any confusion later when masking or applying a track matte. Keeping your layers organized will make the workflow much smoother. Duplicate the door mask and give it a new name. I'm naming it Wall Mask. We'll be using this mask for the wall later. Create a blank layer above the background layer. To do this, right-click between the 2 layers. You'll see options to add track above and add track below. Now place the wall mask layer above the background layer. While you're working on your design, doing masking or making other adjustments, you might accidentally select other layers. To prevent this, you can lock them so they won't be selected. Simply right-click on the layers and you'll find the option to lock and hide here. We want to add a light to the upper red part of the door shown in the video. To do that, we'll need to separate the red part first. Also, we need to remove the lower handle, but we'll do this later. First, draw the shape with the pen tool as shown in the video, following the red part. Then, set the border to 0% and change the fill transparency to a solid color. Adjust the length of the layer to match the other layers of the line. Next, apply the edge feather filter to the shape under Components and Filters. Set the feather strength according to your preferences. Make a duplicate copy of the masked door layer. Then place the shape layer on the duplicated door layer. Select both layers and choose the mask option. Now you'll see the red box is separated from the door layer. Finally, rename the layers. Now let's remove the handle on the door. Select the pen tool and create a shape on the right side of the door, as shown in the video. Apply the edge feather filter and match the length of the layer with the timeline. Duplicate the door layer. Create a blank layer on top of it and place this new shape on top of the duplicated layer. Make sure to place both layers below the red light box. Always arrange your layers correctly. Layers in Create Studio work just like layers in Photoshop. Now select both layers and apply the mask by right-clicking. With the mask layer selected, go to Settings, select Properties, and choose the Flip Horizontal option at the bottom of the properties. Then place this mask as shown in the video. Keep adjusting the mask by selecting its anchor point until it perfectly covers the left side of the door to remove the handle. Next, apply the edge feather effect and adjust the strength according to your preferences. Now see, the handle on the door has been removed. As you can see, I'm now scaling the height and width of all the layers and making sure they're aligned to the viewport. I forgot to do this at the beginning. Now group the main door and the shape we created to hide the handle. Unhide the door mask layer and place it above the masked door. This way we can later mask all the door elements together. Now we'll add a blinking effect to the red light on the door. To do that, create a rectangle just like I'm doing and adjust it to cover the red box. Apply the edge feather effect and adjust the strength according to your preferences. Change the rectangle color to red. Keep the length of the rectangle layer on the timeline under 1 second. Right-click, select Add Animation, then choose Opacity and apply the easing of your choice. First, let's apply the animation to the keyframes before placing them. Select the first keyframe and set the opacity to 100%, then set the opacity of the last keyframe to 0%. Now, keep the length of both keyframes within 1 second. I've set mine to 20 frames. Duplicate the red glow layer and position it just like I'm doing. If you want to achieve the full-length effect, follow these steps carefully. Finally, group all the layers together and give them a proper name. I've named this layer Blinking Light. Duplicate the blinking light layer, apply a blur filter, and increase the blur value. Temporarily hide this layer and lower the opacity of the unblurred red blinking layer. Then, unhide the layer and place the door mask at the top. Move the door mask to the top, then place both blinking layers, the door and handle group, and the door light layer below it. Group these layers together, but make sure the door mask is not included in the group. Next, name the newly created group door, then select the group and door mask, apply the mask. The door is now ready for animation. Create a blank layer above the background layer and place the original door image on it. Duplicate the wall mask layer and rename it. I have named it Wall Mask Copy. We are going to place it at the bottom of the layers, then hide and lock it. Select the newly imported original door image, then go to Settings and find Track Matte. Click on it and a dialog box will appear. In the mask menu, select the wall mask layer, choose Alpha and turn on Inverted, as shown in the video. You can see that the wall mask creates a cutout on the wall layer, allowing the room behind to be visible when the door opens. Now let's animate the door. Right-click on the masked door, go to Animation and select Scale. Place scale keyframes within the first 10 seconds of the timeline, ensuring there is a 1-second duration between them. Then add position keyframes and set the duration to 2 seconds. After the position keyframes, leave a 1 to 2 second gap, as we will adjust this gap when placing the character. After leaving the gap, add another position keyframe and set its duration to 2 seconds. Then, add scale keyframes with a 1-second duration. Follow the diagram shown in the video for accurate placement. Finally, select the easing as per your preference to refine the animation. To animate the door first, locate the second keyframe from the initial set of scale keyframes. This is the keyframe where the door completes its scaling transition. Now select this keyframe and slightly reduce the scale value by 1 to 2 points from the Properties panel. This subtle adjustment will create the illusion of depth, making the door appear to move slightly backward. Once done, play the animation to preview the effect. You can fine-tune the scaling further if needed. I am reducing it by 2 points for a more natural look. To animate the door, select the position keyframe and move the door to the left as shown in the video. To ensure smooth movement, place a guideline on the door. This will help maintain alignment, ensuring the door snaps to the guideline and slides in a straight line. Go ahead and play the animation. Refine it by adjusting each keyframe's properties to achieve a smoother and more natural motion. To make the animation effective, check the easing options and choose the one that best fits the motion. Give each layer a proper name and organize them correctly. For example, place the wall mask layer above the wall layer. Place the wall and wall mask layers at the top. And that's it, the door animation is now ready. I've added more blinking lights, white lights on the sides of the door, and a faint yellow light on the wall. Use the same process as the red blinking light we created earlier to add these new lights. Adding these extra blinking lights will enhance the realism and create a more immersive atmosphere. Now let's replace the existing door reflection with a new one for the sliding door. Start by using the pen tool to create a precise shape for the new reflection. Apply a gradient and use the color picker tool to match the surrounding tones, ensuring it blends naturally into the scene. Next, apply the edge feather filter to soften the edges and adjust its strength to your preference for a more seamless look. Once the new reflection is in place, carefully reduce the opacity to subtly blend it with the environment, preventing it from looking too harsh or artificial. This will create a more natural and realistic effect. Repeat this process for the other reflection as well. Follow the steps shown in the video to remove the existing reflection. Now let's add a character to the scene, but first, lock all the layers to prevent accidental selection. Go to Studio, navigate to 3D Character and select your preferred character. Place it on the top layer and extend its length to match the timeline. Position the character at the beginning of the timeline for proper sequencing. Next, I am modifying the character's hairstyle. To animate the character, click on Idle, which will open the animation presets on the right side. From there, select the walking preset to apply the walking animation. Once applied, click on the idle button on the character layer again, and enable the two options shown in the video. To change the direction of the character's movement, first select the character. You will see a rotate option appear above the character's head. Click on it, then click on 3D character, and while selected, drag it so the 3D character can freely rotate. Carefully set the direction as demonstrated in the video to ensure the character is positioned accurately to align seamlessly with the scene's perspective. Now add a position animation to the character. Keep the easing linear. First, we will focus on animating the character before fine-tuning the timing. Carefully follow the steps shown in the video to bring the 3D character to life. Take your time to ensure each movement is smooth and natural, paying close attention to detail for a polished and professional animation. I have set a 5-second timing between these two keyframes. Once the keyframe animation is complete, adjust the timing to around 4 to 5 seconds based on your preference for a smooth and natural motion. Add a scale animation to the character as shown in the video. Then, select the first keyframe and slightly increase the character's height to create a natural perspective effect. Now we will add a reflection to the character. First, make a duplicate copy of the character. Lock all layers except the duplicated copy to avoid accidental edits and ensure precise adjustments. To view assets outside the canvas, click on a blank area outside the canvas. Then, go to the settings on the right side and enable Show in Canvas mode. This will make all elements positioned outside the canvas visible. First, flip the duplicated character vertically from the Properties panel to create a mirrored effect. After that, proceed to add the position, scale, and character view animation from the Properties panel to ensure proper alignment and movement of the reflection. Finally, animate these properties as demonstrated in the video to ensure a seamless and realistic mirrored effect, maintaining fluidity and coherence within the scene. When you select the character, the Rotate option will appear at the top of the screen. Utilize this option to adjust and align the character's rotation, ensuring it matches the desired perspective within the scene for a more natural and realistic look. To make the reflection look more realistic, apply a blur effect and adjust the blur value to your preference. Next, create a mask in the same way as we did previously. Select the reflection layer of the character, go to the Properties panel, and click on the Track Matte option. Choose Luma from the menu and select the newly created matte. Adjust the gradient values for a smoother, more integrated reflection. The sounds used in this video are taken from the Create Studio library. And that's it, your video is now complete. To enhance the final look, I've added additional elements like floating dust particles for a more immersive feel, as well as a character and a robot positioned behind the door to add depth and realism to the scene. These extra details help bring the animation to life, making it more engaging and visually appealing. Use the same process we applied for the character's reflection to create the door's reflection. Duplicate the door, flip it vertically, adjust its position accurately, and animate it accordingly. Fine-tune the opacity and apply a blur effect to blend it naturally into the scene. This will ensure a consistent and realistic look throughout the animation. Duplicate the door, flip it, adjust position, animate, and apply opacity and blur for a realistic reflection. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and support the channel. It truly helps me create even better content. This is just my second video and there's so much more to come. Next, I'll be diving into tutorials on Blender and Substance Painter, so stay tuned for more exciting content. See you in the next one.